Most people have built-in lenses in their eyes which work well to focus light and allow them to discern objects very precisely at a long distance. If I'm without my contact lenses, I'm legally blind for the purposes of driving a car. So I wouldn't be allowed to drive without my contact lenses, and I can't read anything that's right in front of my face. But if we were living in if we weren't living in our complicated modern society and I didn't have any contact lenses, I could still see well enough to jump out of the way of something that was going to fall on me, or run when something appears to be getting larger and larger in my direction. And that's way better than not having an eye at all. And there's all kinds of other things you can play around with, like how your eye is curved, how much light you pull in, how many different photoreceptors you have, all sorts of things. There's lots of room to play with having less than a complete eye.
And there's also the idea, I was talking about how we have this human-centered bias. We consider vision our little limited spectrum of visible light that we can see, but the actual spectrum, spectrum is much broader. And there are, for instance, bats use sonar. It's a different way of seeing. It's counterintuitive to us because we can't do it. But there may be significant advantages to that, even over the vision that we have. So it's possible that from a bat's perspective, we might have half an eye. You can't start with humans as the end-all be-all because you're automatically assuming a purpose in the process of evolution, and these designs of, or these arguments of I see design, I look around the world and I see design, they all start with the false assumption from human perspective that there would be a design, that there exists. If you come across a Mayan temple as you're walking through the jungle and you've never seen one before, you're going to look at it and know that it's designed, but why? It's not because you have any perception of expectation of there being a temple there or being a design. You look at it and you recognize components of design. And the element that is consistent across the board is something which we recognize as designed is something which does not occur naturally. This is something that we do not know has occurred naturally. If I find a watch or a cell phone or a temple, I have no reason to believe that these things occur naturally. I don't know of any temples or cell phones that grow out of the ground. I do know of temples being built. I do know of cell phones being designed and manufactured.
Right, and we have very good proof that there are people who are able to do those things.
Right. It's, when it comes to looking at humans or a tree, if you look at humans or a tree or whatever and you see design, I'm sorry, but you're seeing it because you want to. We do know that humans and trees occur naturally. We know this not just through the theory of evolution, but also through the theory of sexual reproduction, which we've demonstrated. But, it's just a theory, so we might not trust it too much. Sorry, that's my little dig at the creationists with...
Any dig at creationists is all right with me. Do you want to take a couple of callers?
Let me get through this one little section as an overview real quick, and we can take callers, and then I'll come back and look at arguments against the existence of God. There's another type of, or another category of arguments for the existence of God, which basically come down to personal experience, I believe the Bible is reliable. I believe that the account of some Holy Scripture is accurate. I know people have claimed to have near-death experiences. Morality cannot exist if there is no God. We have witnesses or people who've claimed to be witnesses, and I consider that testimony reliable, and all of those end up being the basis of what turns out to be a very personal argument for the existence of God, but it's not very convincing when you're trying to relay that information to somebody who doesn't already to believe. It doesn't meet the standards of evidence that many people would require before believing in something exceptional. And one of the most common of those is the majority argument, which is all throughout history in all places, people have had a God belief, and therefore there must be a God. Well, first of all, it's not true. We know of at least one tribe that doesn't have a God belief. But when civilization springs up, and it's the process of a God of a God hypothesis is something which sociologically it may be completely natural. When the lightning streaks across the sky, you wonder why, and if you don't have an answer, it's Zeus. When you find gaps, sometimes it's more comforting to fill them than to be constantly nagged by something you don't know. I mean, we all would like to know the answers to a great many things. The difference is that I personally would prefer to know that the answers that I do have are as right as they possibly can be.